New fallout after President Obama refuses to apologize for attacks on Governor Romney's record at Bain Capital. This after his deputy campaign manager, Stephanie Cutter, suggested Mr. Romney may have committed a felony by misrepresenting his tenure at Bain Capital to the Securities and Exchange Commission. Cutter now saying the governor needs to stop whining.
He's not going to get an apology. You know, it's interesting. Just a few months ago in the Republican primary, Mitt Romney said to his opponents, who he was crushing at the time, stop whining. And I think that's a good message for the Romney campaign. Instead of whining about what the Obama campaign is saying, why don't you just put the facts out there and let people decide rather than trying to hide them?
Governor Romney reacted to the controversy this morning on Fox and Friends.
Well, I think when people accuse you of a crime, you have every reason to go after them pretty hard, and I'm going to continue going after him. I'm very proud of the record that I had in my business career, helping turn around the Olympics and as the governor of the state of Massachusetts. But what does it say about a president whose record is so poor that all he can do in his campaign is attack me?
Joining us now, Hadley Heath, Senior Policy Analyst at the Independent Women's Forum, and Chris Kofinas, former Chief of Staff to Senator Joe Manchin. Chris, does anybody really care when Governor Romney left Bain Capital?
Well, yeah, I think they do care, because the reason why I think the Bain issue matters, I think the reason why the taxes issue matters, it goes to character and trust. As I said before, when the American people go in and vote for president, they're not simply just voting on a record or policies, they're also voting on something bigger than a resume. It's how they feel about that candidate. It's what that candidate represents and stands for and believes. And I think based on, for Governor Romney, given what he professes to be his record at Bain, when you have, let's say, a very confusing understanding of when you came and what you left and what your record was, when you have this inability to release taxes, even though Republicans are going out there saying you should release your taxes, Republicans are saying this. I think it doesn't help Governor Romney's argument to the American people at all.
Well, why not, Chris? I'll get to Hadley in a minute, but Chris, why not? Why isn't the president running on his record?
Well, listen, the president is running on his record, and the fact is, every incumbent is going to be judged on their resume and going to be judged on what they accomplished during their term, but it is also a choice. It's not simply just a referendum. And the American people have to basically make a decision between these two visions and what Governor Romney did at Bain, what Governor Romney did or didn't do in his taxes, what Governor Romney did as governor in Massachusetts. Those also matter.
So Hadley, if the American people are looking at both of these candidates, they know what they've gotten from Barack Obama for the last almost 4 years. What are they going to get from Governor Romney if he were elected?
Well, hopefully we see a more positive message from Governor Romney, that he's able to articulate the policies that he stands for, and I think he's doing that. I do agree with Chris, though, that his record in the private sector, in the public sector, Governor Romney is running for the highest office in the United States, and his record should be fair game. But I do think that the Obama campaign is barking up the wrong tree when they're criticizing private equity and they're demonizing profits and wealth creation. That seems to be a bad tack for this campaign to take. It shows how desperate they are actually to deflect the American people's focus from Barack Obama's failed record on the economy while he's been in office.
Yeah, Chris, what about that comment that the president made on Friday where he said something about, if you've got a business, you didn't build that? I mean, it just sounds like a guy who doesn't want to allow businesses to prosper in this country.
Well, and listen, in fairness to the president, I read that entire comments that he made at the event in Virginia. What he was saying, I think, was what I think most Americans believe, that the reality is in this country, none of us do it by ourselves. We go to schools, we use roads.
Sure.
There is a role for government, and I think that is what his argument is, and that is, I think, the crux of the differences between these two candidates. One believes that individuals, regardless of their backgrounds, can all make it on their own. And listen, the truth is, government does have a helping hand. It shouldn't be a crutch, but it can be a helping hand. But to go back to real quick, the point about Mitt Romney. When George Bush ran in 2000, I could tell you what he stood for. He had a vision. I cannot tell you, as a Democrat and as an American, what Governor Romney believes. No one has an idea of what his policies are. Not one.
So, Hadley, give us the flip side of that. What are President Obama's policies?
Well, I think President Obama believes in expanding the role of government. I agree there is a role of government in our society, but that role has clearly gone too far. Obama wants to criticize Romney for outsourcing jobs, but the truth is private equity firms don't specialize in outsourcing. In fact, American businesses are outsourcing now because we have the highest corporate tax rate in the world, and under President Obama's watch, federal regulation has become increasingly burdensome. So that's the business climate that we should be talking about in terms of job creation, what's going on in our economy. We can certainly point to the role of government having expanded too far beyond its means as a reason that American businesses are struggling and American families are struggling.
And the discussion will go on for another 113 days. Hadley Heath, Chris Kofinas, thank you both.
Thank you.
Well, now this warning.